Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I am doing a review and discussion on Misery by Stephen King. The first part of this video will be a review, which is non-spoilery, so you can watch this if you are interested in this book or want to know what this is about, or you simply just want to watch that portion of the video. The second half will be me discussing topics that happened within the book, specific things, which means spoilers, which I recommend not watching if you haven't read the book. I literally have not filmed a book review, a book talk, a discussion about a book specifically in so long, and I've missed doing these type of videos. I think a good reason why I haven't done them in a while is people generally do not watch book reviews as much as other videos, so it ended up discouraging me. But at this point, I don't really care if this video does not get that many views. I just want to have it for myself, really, so I can look back on this review and just feel the feelings that I felt while reading this book. I finished it last night and I absolutely loved it. This book is about a man named Paul Sheldon, who is a best-selling novelist. He's really famous for that. He's beloved in the writing world, basically. One day he gets in a car crash and his #1 fan finds him. Oh cool, your fan found you. Oh, your #1 fan. That's not completely right in the head. He's injured from this car crash and she doesn't take him to the hospital and takes him directly back to her place, which is pretty much a secluded area, and he's in great pain. And this woman, there's something wrong with her. She loves his books just a little too much, and she forces him to write the next book in his series that he didn't even really plan to write, I believe. It follows Paul's journey in this house and all the horrific things that happened to him during his stay. I literally was terrified. I've read only 2 other books by Stephen King. It was Salem's Lot and The Shining, and for some reason, this one scared me way more than any of those. I really wasn't scared of those at all. This one scared the crap out of me. Maybe because I'm a writer myself and this is just an absolute nightmare, the worst thing that could probably happen. I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. If you are wondering why I took off the 0.5 stars, it really was there were certain parts of the book that I didn't really enjoy reading, and those were the snippets of Paul's book that he was writing during his stay with Annie, the #1 fan. I just never really wanted to read them. They kind of bored me and I ended up skimming through them because I just wanted to get— Macy, shut up, my dog is annoying. I just wanted to get back to Paul and Annie and see what was going to happen next. The snippets of his book, which is called Misery's Return, just did not do it for me. It took me out of the story and I really wasn't enjoying them. I don't think they even needed to be there. It's interesting that they were there, but I don't really felt like they needed to be there. Another reason is I wanted more from the ending. I absolutely loved it. The ending was— I'm not gonna tell you, obviously. This is— Macy, shut up. The ending was pretty crazy, but I wanted more information, to say the least. I don't want to spoil anyone, but that's basically the reasons why the 0.5 came off, though you can tell I still really enjoyed this book and I loved it. I will tell you a few things that I really liked about this book. The characters were really interesting and I was always on the edge of my seat to see what was going to happen next. I always wanted to know what Annie was going to do because she was so all over the place and I never knew what mood she would be in. It was just so intriguing to find out what she would do next. Every time she entered the room, I was sucked in. This book really scared me. That's a plus. Though it did scare me and I read it at night. Probably not the best idea. An aspect that I really loved about this book was how it talked about Paul's writing process. And I'm a writer, so it was always really interesting to read about how he was doing with his novel. Not specifically, I didn't really enjoy reading the novel, but I enjoyed hearing about his process and what was going on with it. The writing was fantastic. I was loving it. King definitely knew what he was doing with this book. A highlight of this book was how the characters were definitely flawed. They were not perfect at all. That's what made them even more interesting. I needed to know what was going to happen with them. The dynamic between them, I could not stop reading. I literally was so into it. Every time they were having a conversation, I needed to know what they were about to do. Another thing that I think was well done was how he dealt with the one setting, really, the house. And sometimes writers don't deal with that well, can't make it interesting, but King did really well with that. So I think we're going to get into the spoiler section soon. Before that, I am going to tell you about some trigger warnings that I have found. There's definitely talk about drug addiction and alcoholism. Also, there is suicidal thoughts, which can be triggering, obviously. I just wanted to put that out there for you if you were thinking about reading this and that is something that you don't really think you are able to read. So now I am going to get into the discussion section of this video. So if you haven't read this book, go away, read it. It's not that long. By the way, on the back of this book, Stephen King has a unibrow. I have no idea why. Why did no one tell him to pluck that? Like, he has a wife. Why did she not tell him to fix that before he took a picture to put on a billion books? What? So bye, non-spoilery people. There's a few scenes I want to discuss. I just need to talk about it. The first one that I wrote down in my notes for this video was the axe scene. That was horrifying. I felt so horrible for Paul, and the way it affected him afterwards, how terrified he was of her even more, how he couldn't really even stand up to her anymore, how he just felt hopeless. It was so sad and so intense. I literally am terrified of Annie. She is the scariest woman ever. I don't think there's a scarier woman. It's so sad to see how badly she has an effect on him. Especially towards the end of the novel, you see how he cannot get her out of his head, even though she's dead now. He keeps seeing her, and then she goes away like a little ghost, you know? I really hope that he, in the future, finds a way to cope with that and get over it. Another scene that made me really sad was the last few pages when he was starting his new book that he just came up with, and it said how he was weeping as he wrote the words, and that was just really powerful for some reason to me, because I don't know, he's just so messed up. He's been so messed with. I feel bad for the guy, and he's finally writing something for himself again. Though I do say that Misery's return was not for Annie. He started off like, yeah, I'm gonna live by writing this book. But he wrote it for himself. It was his true escape from all the horrors that was Annie's home. I don't know if he could have gotten through it if he did not have his writing. And I love when things are like that. I even have 2 quotes that I tabbed, and they're about writing. Actually, one's just really weird and I liked the quote. One of them is about writing. I'll read it. Because writers remember everything, Paul, especially the hurts. Strip a writer to the buff, point to the scars, and he'll tell you the story of each small one. From the big ones, you get novels, not amnesia. A little talent is a nice thing to have if you want to be a writer, but the only real requirement is that ability to remember the story of every scar. Art consists of the persistence of memory. I really liked that line. Well, it was more than a line, whatever. I think the scene that scared me more than any other was the police officer's brutal death. I felt horrible for that guy. That poor guy. He was a young police officer just out of his teenage years. He was just trying to find Paul. He was passionate about finding some Paul, and he sees Paul and she just comes stabbing him alive. And I was like, oh man, I'm so sad. I thought we were finally getting him out of here. Like, please. The most horrifying moment, in my opinion, was when she ran over his head with a lawnmower. Ew, that made me die. That was the scariest moment for me in this book. It shook me. I almost cried because I was like, whoa, that's so scary. A scene that shook me, another one, was when she made him burn his book. I would understand the pain. Oh my god, I thought I lost my book the other day because I broke my flash drive that it was on, and I wasn't sure if I saved it on my computer, so I thought I lost my book for a second. And it scared the crap out of me. And then he legit did lose his book, and he had to burn it so he could get pain pills. That's just so torturous, oh god. The other book burning scene, when he tricked her into thinking that he burnt the Misery Return book. Thank god he didn't actually burn that book. I would have been like, that whole scene when he was trying to kill Annie, like, why wouldn't she die? Like, why? She finally did die, but why did it take her so long to die? Why was she so immortal? He even said that. Why is she so immortal? I don't know. Paul's escape really caught me. When it kind of went into the point of view of the police officers as they walked in the door and saw Paul and saying he looked like a man who had been in confinement for 40 years and he was so broken, and I wanted to cry. Paul cried himself as soon as he saw the police officers. It hit me really hard in the heart. The real big thing about the ending that was not what I wanted was we didn't really see Annie's death. Yeah, we whacked her a few times, we stuffed her throat with some paper, we burnt her a little bit, but she ended up dying with her hand wrapped around a chainsaw. And I think it would have been more interesting if, like, she got the chainsaw out and was about to kill him and then boom, she just died or something. I don't know. That would have just been fun. That doesn't sound fun, but that would have just been whoa. And we find out she died in the after scenes when Paul was back home. I just wanted more information about Annie or something like that. And I also wanted more information on Paul itself because he now has these drug addiction issues, the alcoholism issues, because that's his way of dealing with it. And I want to know if he ever gets past that. And the horrors that he still has thinking about Annie. I really wanted to know if he got past that, but I get, you know, the book has to end, whatever. Okay, I think I should stop talking. This review should be over because I've been talking forever, I feel. And I think I basically talked about all the things I really wanted to make a point on. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you did read this book, tell me if you enjoyed it. I hope you're not watching this video at this point if you didn't read it, because that just sucks. I've never seen the movie for Misery. I'm really interested to see the movie now because I've heard it's really good, but I feel like it's gonna be really scary. Tell me your thoughts on this book. I want to know. Like this video, comment down below. Have a good day. Please subscribe. Follow all of my social medias, which are linked down below. Make sure to click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should have already clicked, and goodbye.